All right, coffee on the table and Niklas, Niklas on Zoom. So that's a good day. Hi, Nick.
Yeah. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. What time is it on your end there?
At 10:24 in the morning, but I just got back from Europe, so I'm a little bit tired, a little
Oh,
bit jet lagged. So, but no, it's nice being back. Europe, winter is coming, so it's a little bit cold, and here in Arizona, it's gonna be a nice day, blue skies.
yeah, we love that time. Same here in Florida. It's for sure. Not in Sweden now.
And no, no, not that much.
And Arizona S-Speed is on a time off.
Yeah, we start training again here in December. So we're off for about 5 weeks, maybe 5.5 weeks.
Well, that's why we have you here because you had some time. You have a very busy agenda between coaching, managing team speakership, sponsor, making money, feeding the family,
Yeah.
visiting your folks in Sweden. How was your visit there? Oh, let's move forward. We don't have. I mean, that would take us probably hours to go back into all this. The good
Yeah,
old.
no worries.
We have a lot to talk about, Nick. Between the nationals and Montreal and next year and so forth. I don't really know where to begin. There's so much, but let's go in timely order. Let's begin with the nationals. I know we have exchanged a few experiences already privately, but all the things that you brought to the attention, it was just mind-boggling. So it was much more intriguing than we know about the nationals.
Yeah, the U.S. Nationals. I mean, we showed up, and I felt like, as far as airspeed was concerned, we were ready for the competition, and but and yeah, we showed up ready. But as far as the competition itself, I was very pleasantly surprised by how aggressive Rhythm was. I was very impressed by them. And in any kind of situation like that, you go in with past experience, and you somewhat kind of predictive future or what's going to happen bad based on the past. So I was a little bit nervous there in the beginning, seeing Rhythm. They just kicked butt in
Can
the beginning.
imagine.
Yeah, no, but but also for airspeed, that competition, you know how it is. You train a whole year, and you put everything into this one meet. And for us, not to take away anything from Rhythm, but we didn't really skydive at our best the first half of the competition. I remember when we actually went up and did that skydive. It was K19.6, whatever round that was, fifth round or something like that. That's when we really started doing good skydives, and it was hard for us to warm up. For some reason, I felt like our skydives were a little bit too sticky, a little bit too had some nervous energy. We didn't really let loose and get going. And then obviously, on the second day coming back, knowing that we were just 1 point up, um, and it was a close race. Again, very impressed with the Rhythm. We came back with an agenda. We need to put this in the bag, so to speak.
So the team was nervous, and at the beginning, you're kind of confirming this. I mean, was it more than just the normal, the usual feeling about round one? Everybody gets kind of nervous when the first round is coming up, nervous or excited, whatever you call that. But it was more than that.
Well, I know that I can only speak for us, but when you are trying to win and you're trying to skydive it to be the best, it's very easy to start skydiving for something you think you need, or a speed that you should have, and you lose your game. You go too fast, you go too slow, and for some reason, when we started nationals round one, we were way too conservative on that first jump, and then going into the second round, we really had to kick it up. Second round, we won by 1 point, and that was a good skydive. but it felt like we have to go faster. So I don't know. It wasn't like organically we just hit this pace right off the gate. It took us a good 4 rounds to really find our stride, and it wasn't really, like I said, until round 5. And even that whole first day, all those 7 rounds we did, it was definitely just a par performance as far as the team felt. You know, it's a very elusive thing to talk about, but the Skaras looked good, but they just didn't feel like we wanted them to feel. And some of that, I think it's a lot of nerves. I mean, we have a new team, with Mikael and Ari and Dave, and the team, every new team, regardless how much experience you have or not, you have to kind of find your own. And you have to find your own way of skydiving. You have to find your confidence. And, it's whether the community wanted to admit this or not, or even us ourselves, I don't think everyone thought Rhythm was going to win. 2 years of training and even us to a certain degree, I think deep inside, we were like, we started the season last year saying that, you know what, we're going to have to work so hard to make this happen. It's a long shot, but let's go for it. And I think sometimes, it comes to a head where you have to break through. At a nationals, we had to work really hard for it. And I felt like that was the meat to just show the character of our team. And it wasn't just walking away with the medal. We had to really win it. We had to earn it, so to speak.
So you were really mostly or exclusively looking at rhythm, because I mean there was also the the Belgian team, Hayabusa, but you didn't really pay too much attention to them then, I guess, as it sounds.
No, not at all. We didn't really look that much at rhythm either, as far as we wanted to skydive the way we wanted to skydive, and that's what we did so well this year. We weren't really looking at the scoreboard, and you do look at the scoreboard, but we're not looking at the scoreboard or other teams for our performance. We know what we can do, and that's what we do. But there's always this doubt in your mind: am I good enough? Until you see the score, and then like, oh, look at that! Yeah, we won that round. We tied that round. It wasn't a good round, but we only lost 1 point. So you choose to believe something in the beginning that's not really tangibly true, and then you look for the scoreboard to get affirmation. Yeah, you're doing the right thing, and so we were just focusing on us, and then looking at the scoreboard, so to kind of validate that we were on the right path. And in the beginning, it wasn't going our way.
But you needed this information. I mean, you did need the scoreboard information to learn that you were going too slow, that you had to pick up the pace. You probably instinctively knew that from training and from, it felt a little bit sticky. But the confirmation from the scoreboard that it is not enough to win, that was necessary.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the analogy is that you're this football team and you're like undefeated, right? And you go to the playoffs, or you go to the Super Bowl, and you lost your momentum, And for us, we went to nationals, and we did great overall. I mean, a 25.8 average for the second time in the first year. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. That's a good score.
Yeah, it is.
But Rhythm was a worthy opponent, and they still are coming since they're continuing. But it was the competition for us where we had to earn it more than the other ones, I felt.
Yeah, it was the first time.
Sorry, it really helped us earn this confidence that I feel like Hayabusa has, being the world champions.
Yeah, now we're going to get to Hayabusa. But it was the first time, to my knowledge, that a team scored 25 plus and would not win, which is rhythm situation. Somehow it's sad, but that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, Rhythm has been around for quite a while, especially with Steve and Jeanette, and undoubtedly they're getting better. They have a lot of new members. Now they have Andrew and Doug, and they're going to keep going, which is the magic for any successful team, is to stick together, And that's not just always defined based on winning or not. I mean, any team that sticks together for a while gets much better. A lot of teams in our sport, they want to do the 1 year or the 2 years and then they quit.
Yep.
But you know, you have to stick together for long term. And I mean, that is what has plagued Airspeed since 2012, is that we always been turning around too many team members. So with this team, this was our first year, and we still have another 3 years. So this team is committed to continuing through the end of 2020. You know.
Oh, great! And now we're talking about lineups. You know, even more difficult it is to keep a franchise going over a long time. We call it, you know, I call it franchise. It's not only a lineup; it's a team organization or whatever. So that comes on top of that. Not only that, it's difficult enough to keep a lineup together, but then also another whole system. And the Airspeed has that rhythm, has it now, you know, so that's great to see. Well, that's good news, 2020, all right. Well, we heard it from Niklas. So here we go. This lineup is a 2020. That's a strong message to a rhythm too.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been our plan. I mean, we're not changing anything. We always wanted to, you know, in our minds, do 2 world meets, 2018 and 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously here in the U.S. you got to win a denomination to represent our country. So you know, obviously we have to win this year, and we're gonna have to win 2019, and I'm sure Rhythm is going for 2019 as well. So having a strong domestic competition is just gonna make us stronger, and that goes for Rhythm as well.
Yep. Well, we wish you. I mean, I wish both of you, you know, luck to. I hope we see a lot of neck-to-neck races. So let's move on. Let's go to. First of all, I mean, Niklas, you are still. You've seen it all. I mean, you are probably by now the most experienced since Mark Kirkby is gone now. You're the most experienced standing four-way competitor on the planet, and you are still, in fact, holding the highest outdoor average ever. I think the 27.9 in Dubai 2012 is still the highest. Everybody talks about Hayabusa, including myself. But the highest average ever posted in four-way outdoor competition is still the 27.9 in Dubai. Mm-hmm. And there we are with Hayabusa. Now, you saw them already 2 times. The first one at the Nationals, and then you also went to Montreal, which was a little bit surprising to me because you weren't really that well prepared for an indoor competition.
No, I mean, as far as commenting on you first there about Hayabusa and the highest average, I think Hayabusa is no different than any other competitor. You're only going to do your best if you're driven by someone else. I think it's going to be very hard to synthetically try to get the best average ever, not having any competition. This fear, this anxiety that comes with a neck-to-neck race, you know, makes you do better. You might not always feel comfortable.
Yeah, and you had Hayabusa in 2012. You had Hayabusa, I mean, on exactly the same level, 1 single point.
Yeah, and believe me, I mean, I remember Hayabusa that whole season, 2012, where we were up by a point, and then they tied us, or they were up by a point at the Shamrock that year. And going up on the next round, just laying it all out there. I mean, that comes from competition. So I don't think Hayabusa has kind of been on their own up there as far as not having a real competitive team. The team that they have is in a tunnel circuit, the Wimby, the French four-wheel team. Mm-hmm. And that's when you also see some really good skydives. I mean, I don't know if the averages have gone up or down, but I can see some of those performances if you look at a round, when they just have some amazing skydives from both teams. And that's, I think, is rooted based on just competition, you know, between the 2 teams.
Yeah. What did you see there? I mean, in Montreal?
Well, I'm just going to give you my 2 cents. I felt like the 2 teams showed up ready to compete, and I just felt like Wimby didn't quite put together as good of a performance as I would expect. I think Hayabusa did exactly what I expected, and I just thought Wimby fell a little bit short, if you ask me. You know, it's I think Wimby can do better, and yeah, so.
There was actually also only 1 round, I think, where they lost it. I think there was 1 round where they lost 6-7 points or so. The other rounds they were on eye level, and I think that was only that 1 round where they.
Yeah.
but they expected more too.
Answering your other question, as far as our preparation, I mean, we only prepared for the U.S. Nationals. Going to Montreal was the beginning of our new commitment, which is next year. We just wanted to go to Montreal to get some international competition experience and measure ourselves up against, the international community and see what we could produce. And really, last year, I felt one of our better competitions we've had, even though some rounds were not good, was the XP Classic that we had in June.
Mm-hmm.
So Nationals, I wasn't quite as happy with that performance overall as I was with that. So going to Montreal, our goal was essentially just be a little bit more aggressive and be okay with busting. Because I think last year we had maybe 3 or 4 busts only in 4 meets. So in Montreal, we wanted to be okay with going fast enough where we busted. So with Montreal, I was very happy with our performance. We had, I think, 10 busts, but I think 9 of those was literally just what the judges would be, that we slapped the grip. We just moved too quick.
Okay.
The formation was there. We were just sloppy picking up the grip.
Mm-hmm.
And so as far as that is concerned, pace-wise and the technique, I was very happy with our performance.
No, very good. So that's exactly, the start that you were looking for and why you were actually going to Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, and you saw Hayabusa, who still seemed to be a mile away at this point in time. And your job will be to reduce this distance piece by piece, month by month, meet by meet. What's the plan for next year? Now we're talking about next year.
Yeah, no, the plan is pretty simple. Train hard. I mean, it's that's what we do best. And I have a vision in my head, and I feel like it is definitely doable. I feel going down to Australia is definitely doable to be competitive and beat Hayabusa. It's one of those things where you have to respect your competition, but you also have to believe in yourself. And for us, I feel like we are coming into a competition circuit now, starting with the Wind Games in February, and then Bedford, and so on and on. We have a lot of competitions coming up this year, and I feel like the competitions themselves is going to be a springboard for us to build this confidence and just try to narrow that gap that's between us and Hayabusa. So you're gonna see us go from doing 1,000 jumps to maybe doing 800 jumps, but we're also doing a lot more competitions. Okay. And you also see us doing a lot more tunnel training. Because as of right now, going into next year, what's going to be different is last year we set a foundation. Last year we set a technical proficiency. So next year what you're looking at is definitely more intense training. Like we're trying to go faster, we're trying to be more aggressive, and we try to build confidence. So
you believe that the indoor training will, you're talking about more indoor training for an outdoor competition.
Yeah, I mean, right now you got to compete to be able to perform at the World Championship, right? And right now, if you look at the competition schedule, everything is indoor. You go Bedford, you go the French Nationals if you want to go in the end of March. You can go to the European Championship in Voss. You can go to XP indoor. You can go to the Wind Games in Spain. You can go to all these different competitions all over the world. Then you have Bahrain in the end of somewhere in December. I mean, you just go and compete, and you can compete with the best in the world in if not both Wimby or Hayabusa jumping competitions. I mean, you have the Shamrock. You had the XP Classic. And
that's it.
You might have some smaller ones, but I mean, you're still just trying to find who's going, where they're at, what are the dates, what airplanes are there, and so on and so forth. So if you want to book your schedule and have have competitions, it's in the tunnel, and you don't go to a competition and you get weathered out. In the tunnel, it's happening.
That's true, yeah. So you have Shamrock and Paraclete Classic on the agenda as well?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. And what about USP nationals? Are they before the World Meet or after the World Meet?
They're before the World Meet. They're a month before. So
Okay.
we're going as well, of course.
So you have 3 outdoor meets, which is not bad. No, that's not.
No, but I mean, do you remember Airspeed 1999 in Sebastian, and then it went down to Australia for the World Championships?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, that has happened for this team before. So we're talking to Dan BC and Jack Jeffries to try to get some feedback on what mistakes they made those years or that year, so we can learn for this year. So we're really doing our research already. We're trying to line up a couple of meets so that we actually get a month in between 2 meets, so we can see how we feel on the second meet to kind of mock up the timing for the US Nationals and the World Championships. So when we go down there, we've had it before early in the year.
Well, luckily, if you can say so, but the US Nationals this year are not really super important. I mean, of course, you want to win them, but it should be easy to focus mainly on the World Meet, right? I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, you go to the US Nationals to, to rehearse your team, to stay fresh. And so you go there to benefit the World Championship. I mean, hey, we're competitors. We want to win. And it's like anything else. If you run a marathon before a marathon and you're not careful, you're going to exhaust yourself and you're not going to recover, you know?
In 1999, they had to travel from Sebastian. Where was the World Meet 99? In Australia too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's an interesting comparison. Yes.
So we've already gotten a lot of information from Dan and Jack about what worked for them that year, what didn't work for them that year, and what they think we should do this year. So,
can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
So what did they say? What did not work for them, and what did work well for them?
Well, I mean, it's first of all, Sebastian that year was a little bit of a special year because he had, I think, Hurricane Floyd or something come in, and the whole competition.
3 hurricanes.
Yeah. So I mean, that was under extraordinary circumstances. Maybe I don't know. Hopefully, Chicago doesn't get a hurricane. But it's, I mean, they did 4-way, 8-way, and everything else. So, I mean, as far as what we're going to do, it's a little bit up in the air. But we're going to definitely take all this information, and we have to sit down with our drop zone to talk to them what they want out of us. But we all have to be on the same page. As of right now, we have to go down to Australia early to acclimate and be down there early because we don't just want to show up there like we would at US Nationals 3 days before. Because I mean, it is such a long trip, and you want to do well and you want to be rested. But also at US Nationals, I mean, we have to rethink what's important. The World Meet is important, and a lot of things go into the US Nationals. We have 10-way and 16-way, we traditionally do. And the question is, no decision has been made. Are we still going to do that? Are we going to do 8-way? Are we just going to do the 4-way and go home? What's important for us, our sponsors, and so on. So it's a lot of things to debate. We have all the information from Dan and Jack from those years, and we just really have to sit down. It's so far in the future right now. We got plenty of time. But like I said, the biggest thing is we had the XP Classic, and we have a meet in Texas that is the perfect mock scenario that we are going to use to rehearse for US Nationals and for the World Championship.
Okay,
so we had the exact timeline and the amount of days, but
when is the Texas meet?
There's a meet in Spaceland in Texas in July, I think.
In July. So you have first
in front of me.
So you have Shamrock, then Paraclete, then Texas, and then the Nationals.
And then the World Meet, yeah.
And then the World Meet, of course, yeah.
And that is, and then we have a bunch of indoor competitions. So while we're doing less jumps,
a lot of competition. Great.
And that's the thing. Like, we're doing less jumps because, when you train as much as we do, resting becomes even more important.
Yep.
And we need intensity training, and intensity training is way better in the tunnel than in free fall. you have to have both. Of course, we're a skydiving team. We're not a tunnel team. We're not Wimby, you know. But as far as needing all this competitions, we need that just happens in the tunnel more these days. The jumper competitions, we would love for Rhythm to come and try to kick our butts. And if they do, it's great for us. It's great for them. But as of right now, I think they're only committed to, and I don't mean to speak for them, but they're committed to the Shamrock, and they are committed to, I think, the XP Classic. I don't know if they're committed to Texas yet, but
like the good old America's Cup tour, almost similar to that. Well, it sounds still like it's down the similar road. Hayabusa has been competing a lot too, you know. So I think they do the same thing on purpose too. And another question, Nick, isn't there naturally already kind of the major difference compared to 1999 is that you're not competing in Australia in 8-way, but Airspeed did. They did 4-way and 8-way with the same lineup in the 8-way, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? It's they not only they had Scala Sebastian Nationals that had the Creeper Nationals, remember?
Yeah.
And also they were doing 8-way and 4-way down in Australia, and the biggest. I mean, they tried to win both, and they almost lost both. They almost lost 8-way to the Russians, simply because you know they also couldn't predict 4-way or 8-way. They were dirt timing 8-way, and then they got a 15-minute call for 4-way or something.
Right.
The stories are endless about what just went against their efforts in trying to win both 4-way and 8-way. You know, it just wasn't meant to happen. But so yeah, you're right. I mean, it's easier this time around for us. We just do it in 4-way, but there's still a wealth of information that we can learn from previous lineups on Airspeed, and that's what's so great about being on Airspeed. It's nothing really has been done for the first time. It's been done before. It's been tried before.
Yeah. Well, it's a smart thing to do, and you're absolutely right. It's a big advantage of a franchise, you know, and keeping it together, and like a brotherhood, the Airspeed brotherhood. It's similar. I just heard that the Golden Knights have a reunion coming up, you know, with the whole brotherhood of Golden Knight 8-way competitors. So that's they stick together too. Well, I guess well, it hasn't happened with Rhythm yet, because their members are going to move to the Airspeed franchise. So far, all the Rhythm experience comes from Janet and Steve. So that's interesting. You know, there's a difference. You know, they don't have historic. They don't have this historic information yet. They're collecting it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Nick, this was super interesting, and thank you so much. I think we're going to leave it at this by now. We could continue for hours, I know that, but then nobody's going to listen to it anymore, so we have to stop here. And thank you very much for all this, you know, information openly, and you know, for everybody. And I can't wait to see you soon again, not in Bahrain, but it will be at the Wind Games, the first one, right?
Yeah. We needed some time off. You know, it's if we were to go to Bahrain, we haven't had a break. And like I said, when you train as much as we do, we did over 1,000 jumps. And as much as we're going to train next year, getting time off, recharge, it's very important.
Well, good luck to everybody, to you with everything, and the same, you know, in all fairness to Rhythm and to Hayabusa and to all the top teams that we are enjoying to watch. Thanks again.
Thank you, NSL. Thank you, Kurt.